Hey, welcome to this week's episode of Topical English Vocabulary with me, Teacher Tiffany. In this week's episode, you are going to learn 5 new English terms related to renewable energy. We are living in a time where renewable energy is being talked about everywhere, and I want to make sure that you'll be able to speak about it with confidence and fluently. Are you ready? Well then, let's jump right in. All right, our very first term for this topic of renewable energy is solar power. Good. Again after me. Solar power. Excellent. Last time after me. Solar power. Great job. So now the question is, what does solar power, this term, actually mean? What is it really referring to? So this term solar power, it literally just refers to energy obtained from the sun's rays, often used to generate electricity or heat. So I want you to think about the sun, right? No matter where you are right now, if it's the daytime and you look up, you see the sun, right? There are rays coming from the sun. Solar power is getting energy from those rays that are coming off the sun. We call that solar power. Makes sense, right? Excellent. Now, I want you to check out this example sentence, the first example sentence using this term solar power. Solar power is a clean source of energy for homes and businesses. Again, solar power is a clean source of energy for homes and businesses. Now, we have this term solar power. We understand the definition and you have an example sentence. But what about some example scenarios? When can you use this term? And when is it really used in real life? So here's the first example scenario. I want you to think about a home installation. All right, home installation. Think again about solar power, getting this power or energy from the sun. So our first scenario, home installation. Think about a family deciding to install those solar panels maybe on their roof, right? Why? They want to reduce their electricity bill. Every month they're paying so much money for electricity, and they heard from a friend that solar power is cheaper. So they decide to get solar panels installed on their roof. Within 6 months, they suddenly notice a 60% decrease in their energy costs. Their bills are lower. This is an example scenario for solar power. So first we have home installation. What about a community garden? Maybe you have a community garden in your community. So think about a community garden, a neighborhood that decides to use solar powered lights and irrigation systems to maintain their shared garden space. This will make it self-sustainable. The sun is powering the lights, and the sun is also powering the irrigation system, watering the plants. This is an example of solar power in a real life scenario. And then what about this final scenario for solar power? A charging station. Think about charging your phone or another device. So a charging station, a local park installs solar-powered charging benches where visitors can sit down on the bench and then charge their phones while enjoying the outdoors, listening to the birds. They're using solar power to help people charge their phones when they plug into the benches. Makes sense, right? 3 scenarios where solar power is actually the star. All right. Okay. So the first example, the first term we have again is solar power. What about this next term? Our next term is wind energy. Good. Again, after me, wind energy. Excellent. Now, last time after me, wind energy. Great job. All right, so we have solar power. Now we're looking at this term wind energy. So what is wind energy? Wind energy literally, and you probably have guessed it, refers to energy produced by the movement of air harnessed using wind turbines. So when they get energy from these big wind turbines, right? This is called wind energy. You might have been to a country that has a ton of windmills, very large windmills. They can possibly get energy from these windmills. So again, in English, we say wind energy. Here's an example sentence. Wind energy is one of the fastest growing renewable energy sources. Wind energy is one of the fastest growing renewable energy sources. So we have the definition, we have an example sentence, but what about some example scenarios? So here's the first example scenario. Again, for wind energy. I want you to think about a coastal town. Think about a town along the coast, a seaside community that powers their street lights and public buildings using offshore wind turbines, taking advantage of the strong ocean breezes. As the waves move, it causes the wind to get stronger and turns the wind turbines. Again, our first scenario is a town, a coastal town using this energy source. And what about farm operations? Think about a farm. Remember, we're speaking about real life scenarios. Think about farm operations. A farmer uses a small wind turbine to power his irrigation system and his barn equipment, making his farm more independent, using the wind energy to power his farm. Makes sense, right? And then what about, let's say, a school project? This is why it's so important for you to learn these terms. They can be used in many different scenarios. All right? Used in many different scenarios. What about a school project? Think about students who want to build a small wind turbine for their science fair to demonstrate how wind energy can power a water fountain. Again, we're talking about wind energy, and kids can think about this for their school project to power a water fountain. So we have 3 scenarios for wind energy. We have coastal town, farm operations, and a school project. You got it? Excellent. All right. Now, our third term for this week's topic of renewable energy is actually renewable. Yes, repeat after me. Renewable. Excellent. Again, renewable. Great job. Last time after me. Renewable. Excellent. All right. So now we have this term renewable. And the question we must ask ourselves is, what does this term actually mean? So the term renewable, it literally just means resources that can be replenished naturally, such as solar, wind, and water. Think about it. The sun, we see the sun come out every day. The sun exists on its own. Of course, God created the sun, but the sun, we get sunlight all the time, right? And what about wind? Well, the wind is not dependent on human beings. And the water, the oceans, the ocean is in and of itself, hey, you're strong, you're powerful. So again, renewable refers to resources that can be replenished naturally, not requiring any human effort. Make sense? Yes. All right. So here's the first example sentence. Renewable energy sources are essential for a sustainable future. They're essential for a sustainable future. Now, we just read that first example sentence. If you want more example sentences, don't forget everything I'm teaching you is included in my free email newsletter. All you have to do is go to www.dailyenglishvocabulary.com. And from Sunday to Friday, we have a new topic each day, and I'll send you that topic with 5 new English terms. And you'll get extra example sentences. So again, www.dailyenglishvocabulary.com. So we have this term renewable, but what about the example scenarios for this term? Our very first example scenario is actually a coffee shop. Remember, these scenarios will help you actually remember these terms when you're having conversations. So I want you to think about a coffee shop. A cafe or a coffee shop switches to completely renewable energy sources. And then it starts advertising things like, we are a green business. And all of a sudden, that starts attracting environmentally conscious customers, individuals who want to make sure we keep our earth and our planet safe and healthy. So the coffee shop started using renewable energy sources. You got it? Yes. And what about this real life scenario? A musical festival. A musical festival. I want you to think about an outdoor musical, an outdoor event, music event that decides to use only renewable energy sources to power their stages, their food stalls, and everything requiring energy or power. Setting an example for those in the neighborhood for sustainable entertainment. Like, wow, if they can do it, we can do it too. Again, the second real life scenario. And then our third real life scenario, a phone company. Think about a phone company. A mobile phone manufacturer like, let's see, Sony or Samsung. This manufacturer powers their production facility entirely with, you guessed it, renewable energy, reducing their carbon footprint. Remember, we're talking about this term renewable, and we have these 3 real life scenarios to help you remember this term. First, a coffee shop. Next, a musical festival. And finally, a phone company. All right. Now, our fourth term related to renewable energy is hydropower. Good. Again, hydropower. Excellent. Last time after me. Hydropower. Great job. So we had our wind energy. Now we have hydropower. what do you think hydropower refers to? Oh, you're a smart one. Hydropower. This term literally just refers to energy that is generated from moving water, typically in rivers or dams, using the water that's moving, using that movement to produce energy and use it for electricity and other things. Hydropower. Makes sense, right? All right, check out this example sentence. Here we go. Hydropower is a reliable source of electricity in many countries. Hydropower. All right, so now we have the definition, we have an example sentence, but what about our example scenario? So I want you to think about this first example scenario. I want you to think about a mountain village. Think about a village way up in the mountains. Now, a small mountain village that uses a nearby river to generate electricity through a micro or very small hydro system, providing power for the entire village. We're talking about hydropower, and now in your brain you can imagine this small village in the mountains. It uses the river nearby to create and produce electricity. You got it? Yes. All right. Here's our second example scenario. A fish farm. I want you to think about a fish farm. A sustainable fish farm uses hydropower from a nearby stream to maintain water circulation and also the oxygen levels in their ponds, making sure that their fish, each fish is protected. Each fish is treated with love. Each fish can be sustained using this hydropower. And then what about this third example scenario? Tourist attraction. I want you to think about a tourist attraction. A historic watermill is converted into, let's say, a museum. And this museum generates its own electricity. How? Using the original watermill or using the original water wheel. Again, we're just talking about scenarios where this term can actually be used. Number 4, hydropower. You got it. All right. And our final term for this week's topic, again, of renewable energy, is energy efficiency. Good. Again, energy efficiency. Excellent. Last time after me. Energy efficiency. Great job. All right. Energy efficiency. What are we talking about? When we say energy efficiency, what are we actually referring to? So, energy efficiency, it literally just refers to using less energy to provide the same service or output, inevitably reducing waste. All right? Doing the same thing but using less energy. We say energy efficiency. Now, check out this example sentence. Energy efficiency measures can lower utility bills for households. Listen, when you start using your energy more efficiently, your monthly bill will go down. All right, so let's check out these 3 real life scenarios related to energy efficiency. Our first one is dealing with an office building. I want you to think about an office building. Again, we're speaking about energy efficiency. I want you to think about a company, and this company installs smart lighting and smart heating systems that automatically adjust based on the occupancy, based on the number of individuals in the building. And this inevitably reduces energy waste by 40%, saving the company owner a lot of money and also protecting the environment. What did they do? They bought smart lighting, smart heating systems. So when people are there, they're on. People aren't there, they're off automatically. Yes, you got it. So an office building for energy efficiency. What about an apartment complex? Again, a real life scenario for this term. What about an apartment complex? Think about residents and they decide to participate in an energy saving competition using smart meters to track and reduce their energy consumption. So each week they are looking at their monitors saying, oh, okay, listen, looking at their meters. Nope, we used too much today. Let's try to use less tomorrow. Again, this is an example, a real life example of energy efficiency. And then finally, what about a restaurant kitchen? I want you to think about a restaurant kitchen. Think about a busy restaurant. And this restaurant decides, hey, we want to make some upgrades, but we want to make the right upgrades because we don't have a lot of time. So they decide to upgrade to energy efficient appliances, and they decide to have their main guy train the entire staff on energy saving practices, which starts to significantly reduce their utility bill. Again, we're speaking about energy efficiency. 3 real life examples: office building, apartment complex, and a restaurant kitchen. All right, so we have 5 terms for this week's topic of renewable energy. We have energy efficiency, then we had hydropower, we had renewable, we had wind energy, and finally we had solar power, our very first one. I hope you enjoyed this week's lesson, and I will talk to you in the next one.